All right. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started on our webinar for today. And I was thinking about, focusing on our business growth and really those three components to growing that successful business. Now, for those of you watching this live here, of course, you can see I've really broken it down into three parts: building yourself, your team, and helping your team build their teams. Okay? And as we know, you can't build a house without a solid foundation if you want the house to last. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. So, again, I mean, the goal here is to focus on starting off with us first, going through some of the things that we think and feel, and some of the things that I'm experiencing now, because I'm certain that as human beings, we all experience the struggle of the inner game. Okay. And I'll get into that here in a moment. But before I get started, do you guys have any questions you want to talk about? Anything just kind of general business building questions?
Hmm.
I don't know today.
Not today? Okay. Scott, do you have anything?
It's more specific. I don't know. It's probably something that's better left till afterwards. But
Sure.
I'll
Okay.
throw the topic out there, and then you can tell me what you think.
Okay.
Attraction marketing.
Yep. Okay, and we're going to talk about attraction marketing. We'll get into some specifics, like you said. If you want some Q&A type things, we can do that. After the kind of morning introduction webinar here. So let's go ahead
Okay.
and do that, and I'll get into some of that attraction marketing in a moment. Do you have a specific question about, like, or I should say, a general question about it?
I'm just trying to figure out, I guess, different ways to make myself more attractive and to bring in the proverbial fish, or not the proverbial fish, but the proverbial bait
Okay.
that's going to bring the fish in.
Okay. So, Scott, I think, well, let me kind of answer that by going through a few of these points, and I'll hopefully tie it in well here for you as
Okay.
we're doing that. So, let me scroll down here, and again, let's focus on the building the inner game. Okay, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because you guys hear me talk about the importance of it, and I just can't stress it enough how important it is to get the foundation inside our own hearts and minds right for our success. Now, guys, just I'll share my experience first, and then that way I'm just showing you that you're not alone. We all experience the same things. I'm building a really it's a new business here in Minnesota. It's a new partnership that I formed, and there's oftentimes these struggles of in my own mind. Okay, I'm going to this meeting. I'm putting out this new post. I'm making this connection after the meeting, and I find myself wondering, or even doubting sometimes that fear of saying, is this worth it? Don't waste your time. They're not interested, or they, whatever the excuse is that I come up with in my own mind. And then I have to train myself to say, we are giving. The goal here is to give to other people. And I ask myself a very simple question: do you have something that's very valuable? And do people need it? And if they do, then I'm able to, if the answer to both those questions is yes, then of course I'm able to refocus and say I need to get these people the help that I have to offer, or this product or service, because again, our goal is to help and serve people, and we want them to be successful, and we know we can contribute to that. So my question for you guys is, can you share, or would you agree at least, that we all struggle with these thoughts of question, doubt, fear on a daily basis?
Oh yeah, I'm a competitive person by nature, so I sit there and I see other people. And I'll give you a specific example if that's okay.
Sure.
I've been with MLSP for what, 2 weeks, I
Yep.
think. And I have an acquaintance of mine in there that has been in there less, and she's already got like 10 leads. And I'm sitting there going, well, what the crap am I doing wrong?
Okay. Okay, hold on
And
one
so,
second. Let me write that down, Scott, okay?
okay,
Let me write that down because that's really important.
okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go on with the rest of your story. So you're asking yourself that question, then what?
And, because I'm sitting there going, sometimes when, being competitive by nature, especially,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to fall into the trap of, well, it's happening so much, better for other people, and it's not for me. So maybe I don't deserve to be happy. Maybe I don't deserve to have success. You know, um, is that a constant thing? No, but is that a normal thing, I guess, when you initially get started?
Yep.
It's certainly, it's not my mindset, but all the time anyways. But I'm sitting, not the part of I don't deserve to be successful. I know I deserve that,
Right.
but I'm sitting there constantly going, well, what am I doing wrong?
Okay. Okay, so let me write that. That's really important right there, that statement. And thank you for sharing that with everybody on here because whether it's live or on the replay, people will relate to that statement. I promise.
You're
Okay.
welcome. Yeah.
Patty, do you have anything that you want to or able to contribute at this time to that?
Not today, Tom.
Okay.
I think I'm more here just to keep
Take it
myself
in.
going and focused, and yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Scott, let's kind of focus on what you just said. First of all, the key word, and I'm just going to type some of this stuff here. The key word is focus. Okay?
Yeah.
So, remember, when you repetitively, first of all, when you repeat something, it makes a pattern.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Good or bad, you're darn right.
Good
it
or
does.
bad, right? Okay. So, if our repetition asks, what am I doing wrong? Then we do two things. We create the pattern, and then we ask ourselves to find out what we are doing wrong. Okay? So let
Yep.
me backspace this here a little bit and say our mind focuses on what's wrong. Because if you ask the question, what am I doing wrong? Your mind presupposes that you are doing something wrong, and then it focuses on finding again wrong, 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 wrong. Okay? So,
Wow.
does that make sense?
Sorry. Oh my God, does it ever time? It's really got me thinking. Because here for a while before I got with you and I got into MLSP,
Yep.
I would get on this computer every day, even with the previous company I was with, and I would look at this computer and I would say to myself every single day, why aren't you getting this? Why isn't this getting done for
Hmm.
you? And you know what? That were my same results every single day.
Yep. Thank you for sharing. Why aren't you getting this? Okay?
Why aren't you moving forward? And I kept saying this to myself every day. What is holding you back?
Yeah.
But
That's,
that's what I was telling myself. Holy cow.
yep. Yep, absolutely. Why aren't you getting this? What is holding you back? You know, all those phrases are things that produce that result.
Yeah.
And that's what I was producing.
Right.
There's one word I think that best describes all this too.
What's that?
Overwhelm.
Overwhelm. Okay, great. Let's talk about that for a second. Okay? So overwhelm. Scott, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. And I'll give you a real easy example. Like with MLSP, they're having us learn. They tell us, learn, pick a strategy, for your marketing and run with it.
Yep.
Well, if you go onto the MLSP site, there's several strategies that you can learn.
For sure.
And I think especially when you're pretty much new to this,
Yep.
at least new to the training, maybe not necessarily new to the business part, but, in terms of your training aspect,
Yep.
you're going through all this, well, okay, I'm learning all these different training methods. All right, what the heck is the best one for me?
Sure.
And if it's not working, then you sit there and you go, well, geez, I really don't know what to do here.
Okay.
And it's just so many things out there. And then you see other people doing this, that, and the other with their, with a system. And then you're trying, and I admit it gets frustrating at times.
Okay. Now.
And then you put pressure on yourself because, like I said, you see other people succeeding. You're going, what the heck am I doing wrong?
Okay.
There you have all these thoughts running around in your head.
Okay. So let's kind of break this down. I tried to summarize some of the top things you said here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that we're sharing this stuff because honestly, guys, I mean, I'm gonna do a training just on overwhelm. Okay, because it is the killer, the misrepresentation of that, the label. The label, that's the key. The label we put in our own minds.
Yep.
Okay, about something. It absolutely determines the outcome.
because when you're overwhelmed, your self-confidence goes to the crapper, and when that happens, then unfortunately a lot of people just say heck with it and give up.
Okay, so let's start off with this part first because I don't want to lose sight of this important point. Scott, when you talk about it, doesn't matter what Scott just brought up the example for those in the replay of MLSP. This isn't a plug for them. This has nothing to do with it at all. So I'm not going to get specific on that. What I'm going to say, even though I think it's great, by the way.
Sorry, Tom.
No, not at all. Even though I think it's great, I just want to kind of stay general here. So I'm just using it as an example. So it's a training platform for those of you who don't know. And so Scott talked about how basically the goal here is to pick a strategy and run with it. When I first heard that, Scott, like you said, there's tons of strategies. Which one do I do? When I first heard you say that, immediately my mind thought of a menu at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's kind of focus on that. So a menu at a restaurant. So when you're at a restaurant, guys, okay, first of all, you get the menu and you start looking. So you get the overview. Okay. So Scott, when you're talking about the strategies and how there are a bunch of strategies, yes, because it is a menu of strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the menu, for example, let's pretend for a moment that Scott, give me one food that you really like at a restaurant. What type of food would you like at a restaurant?
Okay, so it could be anything that I want, even though I can't eat half of this stuff anymore because of my diet. I would say, I'll make it easy. My favorite food in the world is hamburgers.
Hamburgers. Okay, great. And Patty, what would
Can't
be
eat them
the
anymore,
worst
but
favorite
they're
food
still my
you have?
favorite.
Patty, what's the worst thing you'd want to eat at a restaurant? What would be something you'd never want to eat at a restaurant?
Something I'd never want to eat at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Huh? What don't I like? Mushrooms.
Okay,
I
mushrooms,
hate mushrooms.
High five on that one, Patty. I hate them too.
Okay, so now this is really important because I think this is a real practical explanation of what we're talking about here. Okay, so when you look at that menu, Scott, if you saw a section that had hamburgers on it, and assuming that you wanted to eat a hamburger, okay, you would be attracted to that. You would find the hamburger, right?
Not only that, but I would look at what specific type of hamburger
Great,
they have.
perfect. Okay, Patty, if you were at a restaurant and you were scanning the menu and you saw mushrooms, would it be likely that you would just glance right over that and say, subconsciously and consciously, you'd say, I'm not interested in that, and you look for what you wanted?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If I saw mushrooms, say next.
Okay, great. Next, very good. So let's kind of next. Let's put that in there. Okay. So now this is what's so fun about what we do here, guys. Okay, because we take real life examples, questions, struggles, whatever, and then we break it down into ways that are easy to understand and get over. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you have your menu. Okay. Now when you look at the MLSP menu of options, if you saw a blog and you say the worst thing next to root canal is me having to write something, then you know yourself and you would say, I'm not interested in blogging at this time. Next. Okay. But let's say you saw something about videos and you have no problem pulling out your cell phone or getting on your laptop computer or your camera and just making a quick video. You would say, hamburgers. What kind of hamburger do I want? And you would focus on what you know inherently you like. Okay?
Yep.
Does that make sense, Scott?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at it like that, when you look at the menu of options or strategies that are available to you, if you're not sure of which one of the strategies is great for you, then you'll look at them. You'll do the overview. Then after that, you'll know which ones are hamburgers and which ones are mushrooms, and you'll go towards the hamburger that you like, right?
Right.
Okay, so with MLSP, in your example, Scott, without being too specific, if you're not sure of what all the strategies are, first of all, I highly encourage you to investigate them. And then secondly, once you have a clear overview of the menu, choose the one that makes the most sense for you and then run with it. Okay, that's how you avoid overwhelm. All right, now, overwhelm is a state of mind. It's really about your confidence and belief and comfort. Okay, let me explain. So for example, when we start to feel overwhelmed, if you think about a time in your lives, guys, when you felt that, okay, would it be fair to say that one of the first things you were doing was you were learning something, or you had the opportunity to learn something. Would that be fair to say?
Hmm.
Okay. Then on top of it, you were feeling uncertain. You weren't confident because it was something new.
Of
Okay.
course, if it's new, it's scary.
Right. So, well, that becomes definition. Okay. New equals scary for most people.
Yep.
Okay. Now, think about this for a second. Do you want the results of most people?
No.
Okay. Do you want the results you've got in your life so far? I mean, and I'm not talking about the positive ones, obviously. I'm talking about the results you're trying to change. Do you want those same results throughout your life?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So if you don't want something that you've got over and over and over again, then we have to start to look at the opposite thoughts and behaviors. Okay? So if you've always looked for what's comfortable, then the answer may lie somewhere between the opposite. Okay? Let me type between the opposite, which is uncomfortable, right? Okay? And I'm trying to do this as I'm thinking here. Uncomfortable and comfort. I promise you the answer to your success lies somewhere in here. Okay? So comfort can be the absolute most destructive thing that can happen in your life. Okay? Now, I'm not telling you to go out and be reckless and all those. That is not what I'm saying. Please don't misunderstand that. What I'm saying is find a way to look for the result you want, pick that strategy, run with it, and get comfortable, so to speak, with the uncomfort, with the discomfort of the change. Because the change means learning. Okay? It means you're
Yep.
getting somewhere to something new. And remember, new is what you're after. You want something different there. All right? So the label we put in our own minds, and that's why I typed that next point right below, the label we put in our own mind determines the outcome. Okay? I was listening to a training from Tony Robbins earlier this morning, and he talked about fear. All right? And he was saying that it's only the label that we put on. He gave two examples. He said for himself, when he first started speaking, and it was in front of 50, 100 people, he would be nervous. He would recognize that he had this kind of uncomfortable feeling, and he would try to find a way to get comfortable because he said, it was just an unusual feeling. Then sometime later, he had the opportunity to meet Bruce Springsteen, and he asked Bruce Springsteen before he went on stage. He said, can you describe? Do you get uncomfortable? I mean, you're performing in front of thousands and 50,000, 100,000 people. Do you get uncomfortable? And Bruce said, no, I don't get uncomfortable. He said, I sit there and I hear the warm-up band start to play, and I hear the crowd start to cheer, and I start to get this tingle inside my stomach. And then he said, I've learned to label it as it's game time. It's time to go. It's time to perform. And he said the energy flows and you just get into a heightened state. Now, what Tony compared it to was, well, that was the label that he put on it. Tony, at one point, had called it nervous, uncertain, all those things. And Bruce Springsteen said it was a label for him to step up, to get to a higher level, to get to a better state, and to perform. And so what Tony realized was it was the language, the label that we put in our own minds that determines our outcome, determines how we feel about a situation. Both people were experiencing basically the same stimulus. They were experiencing a group of people reacting, but what one labeled it versus another determines the outcome. And obviously Tony changed that because he speaks to millions of people around the world. But the point is that when he first started, he could identify with that feeling of uncomfort, of overwhelm, of all those things, and then found somebody else to look at who he looked up to and asked the same question and realized it was the label. Okay? So Scott, Patty, anybody else who's listening to this, my suggestion, if I could give one here, would be when you start to feel overwhelmed, label it as an opportunity to grow and change and get the result you want. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Scott, I know it sounds easy, But guess what? The first time we do something, it is not easy often, right? It's often
No.
not easy. But when we
And if it were
practice
meant to
it,
be easy, everybody would be doing it.
you're right. You're exactly right, Scott. So my question for you is this, Scott. If you could label it differently in your own mind, would that produce a different outcome in your experiences?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So again, and the reason I'm focusing on this mindset and the inner game is that this is what starts it all. This is the beginning. If we don't get this right, if this is not in line, all right, then how can we build the house on it? If this foundation is not ready to go, how can we build a house on it? And the house is our success. So we've got to get the mental part right, the inner game right, so we can build that foundation we want. Okay? So does that make sense? I mean, I want to make sure I'm answering your questions, but still really giving that value of perspective.
Yes.
Okay, good to hear. Now, let me go ahead. Do you guys have anything else that you want to cover before I get into some examples that I have up here?
No.
Okay.
No.
So some of the examples we hear, and my first point is most people allow the doubt, the fears, and the negativity in their own mind to stop them before they even start. Okay? Remember this statement. Possible only exists between our own two ears. Okay? So the point here is that what's possible or impossible only exists in our minds. It's only here that determines our success or our struggle, our result or not. And here's some examples of what I mean. There's a lot of times we ourselves come across these thoughts, or we come across people who tell us them. Like, for example, I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to bother my friends. Okay? I mean, that's a perspective. How many times have people told you I don't want to sell anything? Okay? I mean, I've heard it. I'm sure you guys have heard it. And that's just a common objection to
Oh, yeah.
success. That's right. I mean, you said, oh, yeah, right, Scott? I mean, you've experienced it, right? Okay.
Oh, easily. And what I always tell people is, like, with my product, and I won't mention the name of it, but I always tell people I don't sell anything either. I share it.
Yep, true. Now, we'll get into that response in a moment. Okay, we'll get into that response in a moment because it is a good answer, absolutely. But we'll get some perspective. The products or the services, in whatever case it may be, are great, but there's this one thing. Okay, it does all these things. It helps me lose weight. Like Scott, we talked about an example. There was somebody who had lost 7 pounds, I think it was. Okay, but then they inserted their own problem. Well, I didn't get 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They managed to turn a negative or a positive into something negative in their own minds, and then make it a generalization for everyone. I mean, isn't that unbelievable? How we
Yep, and I told her she's nuts.
It's so funny how it
She's a friend of
happens.
mine, so I can say that. But I'm like, yeah.
But we do it, Scott. I mean, for example, let me give you a real life example, if I could, is that Scott, for example, you talk about the training with MLSP. Okay, there's a ton of great value there, right?
Right.
But in your own mind, did you turn that into something negative?
Only from the business standpoint.
Right.
Like, again, why am I not generating leads, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera. From the training standpoint, I know there's tons of value.
Right. But what were you focusing on when you made the statement, well, why am I not getting any leads, or why am
I was
not
focusing on the negative aspects business-wise, which
Right.
I know better to do
Right.
than to do.
Exactly, right? So you see the example, it's a real life example that we can all relate to, of instead of looking for the positive, we focus on the negative and then we get more of it. Okay?
Yeah.
Another thing we hear a lot is I've never grown a business. I don't know what to do next, or I don't know what to do. And then, I think I've used this example, but let me rephrase it or put it out there again for people who haven't heard it. My wife works with horses. Okay, I don't know a lot about horses at all, but she's learning and she wants to, and I'm supporting her in that. So the point here is this, is that what I learned in my very brief experiences is that horses respond in 2 different ways when they're uncomfortable. Okay? Some horses will take off running, and other horses will stop and not move. Okay? So this is so huge, guys. Okay? Some will run and some will stop. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that one or the other is better. Okay? What I'm saying is that we have to understand that when people don't know what to do, some people take the discomfort, the fear, and they run. And sometimes they run away or towards a solution, depending on what they happen to think, and other people will just stop and freeze. So our goal is to understand that and say, for the people who don't know what to do next, we want two things to happen. Number one, we want them to come and ask. Okay? That's the first thing we want to happen. To say, hey, I want to do something, I need some help. Okay? And so that's the first step in that growth process. And then our goal is to provide some tools or resources to help them get unstuck. All right? Now, that's a simple answer. Okay? But we'll get into some specifics here in a minute. So before I go any further, is this stuff, are these things you guys can relate to? Have you heard these things before?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. And can you relate to the fact about the horse example where some will run and some will stop?
Sure.
Have you guys seen that in your own businesses? Okay. But let me ask you this question.
Yep.
What do most people do in your own business experiences when they don't know what to do? Do they run or they stop?
Sadly, I've seen plenty of them stop.
Right.
Stop. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
great. Okay, guys.
Just put those brakes on and give up.
Right. Okay, that's so huge.
'Cause that's the easiest thing to do.
Right. Some will stop. Most in business related things stop. Okay? So here's the thing, guys. When you say I don't know what the person's feeling, I don't know where they're at, what happens when you look at your team and you see someone stopped? What is likely going on? Okay?
Their level of self-confidence is low.
Okay.
They're overwhelmed.
Sure.
It's just a bunch of negativity.
Okay. So is
Sure.
seeing somebody stopped a great opportunity for you to reach out to them?
Absolutely, it is.
Okay, so when all of us watching this see people in our team stopped, then we just want to reach out, not assume, but reach out and ask. Stopped equals an opportunity to ask, not assume. But then what we want them to do is say, okay, when we find out what's going on and if they really are stuck, then we can first of all encourage them to, in the future, come and ask. And then we will provide some tools and resources to help them get unstuck. So many times, it's a simple shift in the thinking. Okay?
Yep.
So, for example, I was talking to a lady that I met, one of my new friends I met here in Minneapolis, and she told me that she has a team. And she has 4 or 5 people in her team. She just started, which is great. And she said that she talks to a few of her people, but then she doesn't want to have to, and I'm paraphrasing, she didn't use this exact word, but she doesn't want to have to babysit all day long. She doesn't want to enable them not to do something. Okay? She wants them to take action, basically. She was concerned that if she kept going through it with them, kept doing it with them, kept all these things going that she was supporting them with, that they would be enabled to not do anything and depend on her to grow their business. Okay? Now, when I proposed to her this point, when I posed this idea, I said, listen, certain people will run with success when they get the feel for it. Okay? When they feel comfortable. Now, do you have to run with that person when they feel comfortable, when they feel they have the training and they're getting success? No. You don't have to run with them. You can support them. Okay? So you'll support them, but you don't have to be right with them. But not right with them. So what I proposed, what I threw out there for her was this. I said, listen, let's reframe the thought. It's not babysitting. It's coaching to success. Okay? When you have a team of people, and let's say, I mean, if you just said to a person, let's say I joined one of you guys today or both of you today. Let's use that example. I joined your business. If you said, Tom, I talked to you, I showed you how to do it. You watched the process. Go to this website, fill out this memory jogger, and when you're done, start calling people and get them into the business. If that's what I did for you, if that's what you did for me, I am going to more than likely struggle. Would you agree?
Yep, I would be like, why would I, questioning why in the heck did I decide to have this guy as my upline?
Right. Okay. But guess what? How many times do people do that? How
All
many
the
times
time.
do people say, go to the website, watch this training, go to work, good luck, call me if you have any questions?
Yep.
Okay? No. So my point to my new friend was go with them. And that doesn't mean literally you have to drive 10,000 miles to go coach somebody. That's not what I'm saying. Use your resources. Get on the phone with them. Be the upline, be the third party. To keep doing it with them until they get their wings and can fly on their own, and then continue to be a resource at that point. But you do it until they don't until they don't need you to do it with them anymore.
Yep.
And so her point was, well, boy, now I guess that makes sense. I said, why would you care if this person who is struggling gets 10 parties, so to speak? Okay? If they have 10 get togethers, that would be awesome. Because
Yep.
all you have to do is go in and be the third party, be the expert. And then when you do, you're showing them how to do it. You're helping put people underneath them, which is generating income. And guess what? When a person feels supported, when a person gets income, and a person experiences success, then he or she is 1,000 times more likely to run with you than stop. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So we're all on the
Yep.
same point here. We all agree with that. So, but most of the time, how many people do you actually see supporting them and doing it with them until they're ready to run?
Yeah, they're not very many.
Right. Not very many. And that's
Especially when their teams are large.
Right. But guess what? There are systems that help you run with your team. So that's so key. We will continue to provide those, but systems that help you run with your team. Okay? Another thing that happens is that this new friend of mine, she said, listen, I asked her, I said, what do you do for the people you meet after you're done meeting them? How do you connect with them again? She said, well, most of the time I get their number, their information, and I call them back. And we have a kind of like a month, 6 month, that kind of thing. I said, do you know statistically that the average person doesn't make a decision until 5 to 9 contacts with you? So if your funnel, so to speak, doesn't allow you to get to those 5 to 9 contacts, then you're missing out on a large percentage, the largest percentage of your business.
Yep.
Okay? But guess what? Most people just don't understand that concept and they don't know how. And in business and in life, what we don't know is often the roadblock to our success. Okay, would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so my point is that it's really, let me elaborate on that a little bit. It's what we don't know that we don't know is really the key. Okay, so let me even make that clear. What we don't know that we don't know is really important. So where this matters is this. I went to a meetup group recently. Have you guys looked at that site at all recently?
Meetup.com?
Yeah.
Not recently, I haven't.
Okay. What a tremendous free resource. Meetup.com. For anybody watching this, oh my, what a tremendous resource. So go to meetup.com, type in your zip code, and find meetings that are happening near you. And most of them are just amazing opportunities to connect with people who have the same interest as you. And if you don't have one in your area, then start one. Okay? Be the party. Be the reason why people want to show up. That little key right there, guys. Scott, you talk about attraction marketing. Okay? And for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, who are watching this, let me just quickly explain. The principle here for attraction marketing is to be the person that the people you're hoping to connect with want to come to, that they need to come to. Think of it like a magnet. Okay? You want to draw people towards you because you have such tremendous value. You're such a great person. You care about them, their business. You have great resources. You're a great bridge to success. And they want to come to network and work with you. You attract the ideal person or people to you because of what you are, let me start with because of who you are, what you do, and who you connect to. Does that make sense? Have I explained that in a summary
Yes.
pretty well?
I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So Scott, when you talk about attraction marketing, go hang out with people, go talk with people, go interact with people who are interested in the same things you are. And if you can't find those people, then go ahead and start one yourself. But what it does is it gets you out of the house.
Yep.
It gets you interacting with people, making new friends and partnerships, and because there's a lot of business partnerships that happen, and learning.
And I don't think it costs that much of anything to start a meetup. does
Actually,
it?
there's a special going on right now. I know because I just did it. Right now it's $6 a month, and after the special runs out, which is a 6-month special, after that, then it's $12 a month.
Oh my goodness. To start a meetup group?
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, because there in my area there isn't one. The closest ones for this area are Chicago.
Right. So
Patty,
Patty,
take the bull by the horns and run with it, honey.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, think about this, Patty. Do you know? This is just blows my mind. Okay, I looked on my meetup groups here in the Twin Cities area. Okay, and I looked for home-based business or like network marketing, and there's nothing for network marketing, nothing. Okay, and there are some home business, but they're very small. What my goal is I'm starting a meetup for them as well, and I told people, listen. It's not about you. You can't come in and pitch your business. We're not doing that. Okay. What it is we're going to share ideas, get answers to questions, and just network. Okay. Patty and Scott, I promise you, anybody watching this, if you do that, if that's your goal, just to help serve people, the results will come. You will build some tremendous connections. You will learn some amazing things, and your business will grow. And you know what? You both. And this is not a plug for anyone or anything specifically, but you both have a tremendous resource to leverage to help other people, and you know that. Okay, so when you look at some of the resources in your training, guys, and again, I'm not plugging any business here, but you know the resources I'm referring to, and you have the resources available for you to go connect and bring tremendous value to other people. And when they do, when they join you, other people will you'll generate income. You're going to provide tremendous value and some great partnerships and friendships, and that's just awesome. Okay, so please, 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 if you want to focus on attraction marketing, Scott, no excuses. Get out, start one or make one, and get involved. Okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, someone, somewhere, somehow in Northwest Indiana will help you get around.
Gotcha.
I promise. Okay? And you know what, Scott? If you focus on the solution, like, okay, I need someone to help me get around. Okay? Instead of
Or I
saying,
could have it in my hometown.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Another venue. You know, I'm friends with people that own a restaurant out here. So,
Scott, honest to God, you know what? There's no excuse. The best thing you could do today would be to go out and put that group together.
yep.
Heck yeah.
Okay? So, and Patty, I know that things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Go. I'm doing this. No. This is the joys of working at home. I get to be with my family, but my daughter thinks it's time to come and talk in the middle of a webinar.
I forgot. How old is she?
She's 8, and
okay.
and mom's out doing some volunteering at a horse rescue farm. So she's here with me and wants something. And of course, I'm doing this, and she's not going to get that. So that's how that goes. But the point here, guys, again, I mean, it's such a great opportunity to reach out and do that. Now, I started this point here, and it was steps to building your team. And I want to give just one thing today because I know we have so much to talk about, and I know we've talked about a ton already. But I was listening to a CD with Tony Robbins and a gentleman named Evan Pagan, and forgive me if I have the spelling on the last name wrong. I will look it up for you guys, and I'll get it to you. But I believe that's the right spelling. Now I've come across Evan and his work previously, and it was just amazing. I mean, his perspective is awesome, and what he talks about is the importance of just this constant value, giving constant value. And I think the example he gave in one of his interviews is that his team basically created a $1 million piece of software and a training system, and what happened was he gave it away for a month. Like 20,000 people got access to this training system and this software for 1 month at no cost. Got them using it, got some tremendous feedback, which was great, and got the results. And then eventually, that little sale went on to his launch, made $2 million. Now I don't know if he made more than that after the launch, but the launch was a $2 million event. So let me ask you guys this question. If you had $1 and you made $2, would that be a great investment?
Of course.
Of course. And his premise here was
Sure.
he calls it moving the free line. Okay? The free line. And the point here is just give so much value. Just give so much value that people say that when they pay you $1, in this example, let's say $1, they give you $1, but they feel like they got 10 worth of value. That's the goal here. Guys, if you live by this model in anything you do, you will have so many great friendships, partnerships, connections, and such great income because people will say it is ridiculous for me not to work with you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you look at building your team, one of the great feedback or one of the great ideas that Evan came up with was a daily update. I think this is genius. Okay. So when he has somebody join underneath him in a business, when he has somebody join him in a business, he asks them for 3 things. He says, I want to know daily. Don't spend any more than 2-3 minutes on it. You know, if you spend more than 10, you're doing it wrong. Okay? I wanted a daily update, and I want to know what you did today. Okay, so that's the first question. What was the struggle? What struggles do you have? Okay, and what questions? How can I help you? Let's put it that way. How can I help? All right. If your business did this, if you gave this little short assignment to every person that enrolls and joins you in a business, if you just said, listen, send me an update, send me a text, send me a whatever, call me, just send me some communication that says what you did today. Was there a struggle or what was the positive thing? And then how can I help you? All right. He said he learned so much from this exercise because what he found out is first people, you want to see who's even organized and committed, organized and committed to sending it each day. Now think about this for a second. If you saw that somebody was able to communicate with you each business day, so those 5-7 days a week, depending on how much they work on their business, if they were organized and able to do that and willing to do it, what would that show you about their level of commitment? That'd be huge, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. What that also would do is it would help avoid the stopped problems that we encounter because we're encouraging them every day. It's a pattern of asking questions. Does that make sense as well? Okay, and then it allows you to provide results. Let me shut my door here for a second. Okay, So my question for you guys is this. When you look at those 3 questions, that daily update idea, I don't care if you have 1 person or 1,000 people. Now, if your first thought is, and this is a key to thinking, if your first thought is, how can I do this with a team of 10,000 people? If that's your first thought, fine. But if that thought causes you to stop, then that's a thinking issue. Because you would focus on a solution, and you will find one, and I'll help you come up with one. So whether it's 1 or 1 million people, doesn't matter. We can come up with a solution. The point here is this, is that what value do you guys see if you had your team do this daily? Do you see any value in that? What do you think, Patty? Do you see any value in that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it sounds like, and I know, Patty, there are things going on, but is your response is that one of just because the other stuff, or is it because of you don't know if this one's really valuable or not?
Oh, no, it is, Tom.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. No, I just want to make sure that if it's something that's not of value, that I help clarify it, because when I heard this, it really sounded like a huge resource for team building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it is.
Okay.
My heart's just
No.
not
Yep.
all here.
I understand that. No problem. And the reason I asked you is because Scott just sent me a message and said he'd be right back. So you were my feedback at that moment.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Okay. So that's a big deal.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yep. No problem. So Scott, did you hear the part about the 3 questions for the daily update?
Yes, and I actually think that number 1, it's almost like a journal type thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I have I'm going to actually start having
Yep.
people that, if they can devote like a couple minutes to it a night, people that are actually using my weight loss product,
Yep.
have them do a food journal.
Sure.
That's a good thought.
When you have something like that, number 1, it reinforces certain thoughts in the mind, and number 2, it just makes things more personable.
Right.
And it actually shows you give a damn. Sorry for the language, but it makes you feel, like somebody actually cares about you that much to want to make that type of an effort.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
and
I
it
sort of
encourages
thought I couldn't
teamwork
get it
and
out,
communication, right, guys? So that's huge. Okay, and let's be
communication is always one of the biggest things you have to have in any relationship.
Absolutely. And let's be very clear about the next step, which is helping your team build their team. Okay? So the first thing is be there. Okay?
Yep.
Be accessible and encourage communication. That's so key. Encourage communication. The next thing is that support them until they can do it, until they tell you. Let me be clear. Until they tell you they are ready to fly alone. So what does that mean? So supporting them means literally just be there with them. If they want your help in making some phone calls, or if they want you to be there at that meeting, or jump on that webinar, or that Skype call, or whatever it is you're doing, or that hangout, or whatever tech thing seems to be hot at that time, or jump into that Facebook group, whatever it is, if they want you, and you should want to, just support them through it. Be there with them. Say, listen, I understand you're new, and I understand that there's some unknown, and there might be some overwhelm, which we've already addressed how to handle that. Then if I understand those points, I'm going to do it with you. Let me give you an example of what's going on in real life. This is a real life example here. One of my mentors, one of my business partners, is that gentleman named Bill Walsh. And you guys have heard me talk about him, and you'll hear me continue to talk about him, because you just learn from people who are doing great things in the area that you want to accomplish. Okay? And I'm doing this new event and with him, and he's flying out here to Minneapolis, and he's going to do the event so I can watch and learn how it's done. Okay?
Oh, cool.
All right. Then on top of it all, that's unbelievable in itself. I have a guy who does millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in business every year. Okay? He's connected to some of the top business people in the world, great people, not just because they're wealthy, that's not what I'm saying, but because I've seen a spirit of giving. Okay. And what I've learned is that I talked to him and his assistant recently, and I said, listen, guys, I think that Bill coming here is extremely important to success, and to people seeing value, because, I just want to give as much as I can. And they said, I agree 100%. And I said, so until there comes a time where I'm able to give the same level of value as Bill, I would appreciate it if Bill would come and do all these smaller events, or that all the ones that he can do, schedule permitting, with me. And he said, if you want me to be there, I will be there. Okay? So the point here is that Bill said, I will be there until you're ready to fly alone. All right? Until I tell him I've got this. Now, how powerful is that? His thought was not about, I don't want to babysit you. Okay? His thought was that that's a bad word. Okay? I'm not saying it's babysitting. Please don't mishear that. What I'm saying is that's just a generalization. Okay? I don't want to have to, just kind of cater to you, or whatever you want to call it. But he's going to be here till I have this. Okay? So it's support and partnership. And how many times do people think, well, I've got to worry about that next person I'm going to enroll, or I got to get to that next whatever, and I can't spend time with you because I got to go find another person. Okay? You support the people who join you and have raised their hands to partner with you. Because remember, is it easier? Is it more profitable? Is it all those things to work with someone who already wants to do what you're doing, or to go out and try to find somebody who might be interested? Which one's the easiest?
Repeat that again, Tom.
Sure. Which one's the easiest? Is it easier to go out and have to find somebody who might be interested in partnering with you, or to work with the people who've already raised their hands and said, I want to partner with you?
Definitely. Work with
Okay.
Definitely.
Now, if you support your team through that process, guys, if you're continuing to be there and be at those calls with them and be at those meetings with them, and meetings are huge, by the way, meetings, if you don't have a meeting in your area for your business, then start one. Okay? I don't care if it's going to McDonald's. I don't care if it's going to a local restaurant and asking if you can just use a little bit of, or use a space to meet. I don't care if it's 2 people that come to that meeting. But you've got to start the party before people will join you. You've got to schedule it, right? People want to have fun, guys. Do you want to go sit someplace where people are like, and do something that you don't enjoy doing? Or would you rather spend time doing something you enjoy and you want to be part of it because you do? Which one would you rather do? Would you rather have fun, or sit there and be just mind-numbing bored?
Nah, I'd rather have fun.
Absolutely, okay? So people want to join you. They want to have fun. They want to be part of your party, so to speak. So if you don't have a team meeting or a business meeting, like if your organization doesn't have a weekly or monthly get-together in your area, then start one. Okay? Be the change. Give people a reason to gather. Give people that community. Okay, we all are communal people. Okay, we by nature want to socialize. Okay, we socialize and we want to be part of something. So give people something to be part of. So our goal is to start that. So if you want to build that team, first of all, be there with them as they do it. Second of all, help put some people underneath them so they can start to generate some income, and repeat that process for everyone below them until the team says, I've got this. Then go start another downline. Okay? If your pay structure allows you to do that. But the point here is that it's about building deep, strong teams that say this training is so superior, that this team is so superior, that this belief is so superior, that I'm getting so much value that I could not imagine being away from this group. Does that sound like a team you'd love to be part of?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know it does for me. So, again, we've talked about steps to building your own team. We've talked about steps to helping them build their team. And we've also talked about the inner game, the foundation for your success, which starts all this. So my question is, do you guys have any questions that I can clarify? So let's start with that one. Any questions that I can clarify? Any comments? Anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. And then secondly, what was your biggest takeaway from today? I really want to refocus on that as we end these calls. What was the one thing that you might say, hey, this
With
was
the
a great...
mindset, whenever you're questioning things, you need to change the mindset.
Okay.
I mean, it's been said over and over again, and it's something that, well, long before today should have been taken care of. But, a lot of people, unfortunately, still, no matter what, will fall into that trap. And sometimes even talk themselves out of doing the things that they need to do.
Yep. So true, Scott. Thank you for sharing that. So true. Okay. And Patty, I know, again, I just want to commend you for being here and carrying through the vision and caring about other people to be here. So again, just a tremendous amount of appreciation for you today. Absolutely. So, guys, if you don't
I
have
give you
anything...
props, son, because I don't think I would be here right now if I was going through that. A lot of people wouldn't be, so for sure.
Well, and that's such a tribute to the strength of your vision, Patty. So again, thank you so much for that wonderful example. Guys, I'll stop this recording, and then if you guys have any other questions for some of the other stuff we're working with, I'd be glad to help you. So if there's no other questions, we'll definitely pick it up again next week.